Hi, friends. This is your pal, Scott Garibay, and today I want to talk about why do we show up at the Dungeons and Dragons table as players? I find this absolutely fascinating. And today I want to look at it through the lens of the Disney Plus Snow White movie, but I want to do that before I've seen Disney Plus Snow White. So at this point, I've purchased my ticket. I'm gonna see it tonight at 7:15 p.m. Right? And it's interesting because I want to talk about why I'm going to see Disney Plus. I'm sorry, not Disney. Not Disney Pluses. Disney's Snow White. This is being released in the theaters. Now, this is famous for being like the next Heaven's Gate, like just a movie that has so many problems. It's more interesting to talk about the problems the movie's had than the movie itself. Two actresses who has been at each other's who have been brutally fighting each other on and offset for a long time, right? And over Israel Palestine, right? And you couldn't draw these lines more dramatically, right? Like Gal Gadot is Israeli, and she's like, I support Israel, right? And Rachel Zegler is like, I'm a typical, Hollywood celebrity. I'm not Palestinian anyway, but I would like to, I will gladly burn this multi-billion-dollar corporate enterprise for my passionate support of Palestine. Right? You're like, don't you have a career you're trying to build? Right? And she's like, no, I'm an activist. I'm not a celebrity. I don't have a job here. My purpose is, everybody needs to know Rachel Zegler's opinion on Palestine. That's the important thing when we talk about Disney's Snow White, a remake of a 70-year-old, of a 60, I think it's 70 years, like a remake of a 70-year-old classic. It's important that you know Rachel Zegler's opinion on Palestine. And you're like, is that worth, tanking an entire hundreds of millions of dollars? And thousands of people. Yes, 100%. Everybody's got to know Rachel Zegler's opinion on Palestine. That's worth burning all this to the ground. And you're like, what? And it's really astounding. That's just one problem, right? It gets so wild. So basically, also, this is the movie where Peter Dinklage has now become the most famous little person actor in the world. I believe that's the correct term. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong there. And he has slammed the door behind him, right? Like, he was literally in Wicked, which is famous for employing more little people than any movie in the history of people. And he appeared, and then he was in Wicked, but as a goat's voice, right? And then and with his own public statements, made sure that literally hiring little people at all is problematic now. No one in a marginalized group has ever done a better job of getting into the party and slamming the door and making sure that everyone else in that marginalized group gets nothing, right? It's never happened at a level that Peter Dinklage is. I used to be a huge Peter Dinklage fan, but I feel like Grace Randolph said this. She's like, he got into the party and he slammed the door behind him, and I don't think there's any better description of what he did. There's no way to explain it better. It's shocking and it's appalling. And I think he's an incredible actor, but what he's done is abominable as a human being. Like, he's in the party, he is no longer, and for himself, he got to the point where he's not treated as a little person in any way. He's just a Hollywood actor. But at the same time, he is guaranteed that little people are hired in nothing, right? Like, he's like, oh, no, how are you putting little people in your movie? That's highly problematic. And you're like, wait a second, you are a little person. Like, what are you saying, right? Like, you should be their greatest champion, and now you're the greatest threat, right? Like, so, and that doesn't even get to the part where, Snow White is this classic traditional tale, and Rachel Zegler has turned it into, as like, we're rejecting every traditional value that this story. It's just layers and layers and layers of problems, right? And all of this is very problematic for me. I'm not down with any of this, right? But I got my ticket. Why did I get my ticket? Because increasingly, the thing is not the thing. And we live such incredibly unique lives in America now that when we come to a thing, it's not always clear why we're coming to that thing. And this idea of, oh, I'm going to eat this hot dog because I like hot dogs, is becoming ludicrous. We're just no longer there. There's something truly, genuinely, powerfully different happening in Hollywood. So I have no desire to see Peter Dinklage, continue to um, really lock out the rest of his community. I have no desire to see Rachel Zegler's opinions on Palestine. I have no desire to see Rachel Zegler's woke, opus, right? What I will not miss, what I refuse to miss, is there's no way I'm going to miss this Hollywood event. This is a part of Hollywood history. I have to see this. It is a train wreck or it is a glorious landscape. It's one or the other, and I don't know until I see it. But this fits into the history of Hollywood, and I need to see that event, right? This is why some people like me, increasingly are coming to Dungeons & Dragons. They're like, what is happening here? I'm seeing Dungeons & Dragons everywhere. I'm seeing television shows. I'm seeing movies. I'm seeing Lego sets. When I go to the collectible shop, I see Dungeons & Dragons comic books. I see Dungeons & Dragons Funko Pop. I see Dungeons & Dragons board games. When I go to Target, I see Dungeons & Dragons socks. I see Dungeons & Dragons soda. Right? When I go to the grocery store, I see Dungeons & Dragons bologna. Right? They're like, what is happening here? And this is the point. Like, so there are a lot of people like, I don't want to pretend to be an elf, right? But they're like, I have got to see what this event is. I have to see what Dungeons & Dragons is in American culture, because it has become an unstoppable force that is seen literally everywhere. I have to see this, right? And that's profound. That is incredibly profound, where you reach this point where you're like, oh my gosh, right? Like, this is it. This is it, man. Like, Dungeons & Dragons has reached a point where it doesn't matter if you hate it for 3 separate reasons. If you really don't like it and you have strong reasons to not engage with it, you very well might find yourself at the table, right? Because of the people it attracts, because of the intellectual properties it's connected to, because of the infiltration it's done into many, many intellectual properties. Because you're a Lego fan, or a Yahtzee fan, or a Funko Pop fan, or a Magic the Gathering fan, or a Warhammer fan, or a Doctor Who fan, you have to see the event. And that's where Dungeons & Dragons has arrived, where people who have incredible reasons not to engage with it are sitting at the table. I have no desire to see Snow White, right? Like, to see what's in that movie. But I have to see this as a moment in the history of Hollywood. And I think, and this is the part that people need to start understanding, is you just don't know why people are at your table. You think you do, you assume. But we really need to start letting go some of these ideas. Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion, when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.